Feels like ever since Franz hit that metal ball against the glass on the Cybertruck unveil, everybody's been arguing about this thing. Whether it's a joke, whether it's stupid, whether it's the next big thing or the next big flop. That I thought it would make sense today as to why so many people are defending the Cybertruck, or so many people are standing up for a pickup truck, which honestly, like, we've never seen before on the internet. There's been little sub-communities of people, but Tesla has a whole army of fanboys behind it that will defend pretty much anything they do. That's true. But I think Tesla's genius with designing the Cybertruck was ensuring that they cater to people not just looking for a really pretty truck, but they were looking for something to be as functional and as practical as possible. Tesla had a good idea and a good grasp on how to make a product understand its market best as possible. With things like the Tesla Roadster, you know, making it stylized and making it fast. It knows how to make a Roadster. And when it comes to making the best sedan possible, with the Model S being practical, insanely long range, but also great performance, they made an incredibly practical, amazing sedan. So when it came to the Cybertruck, no, those aesthetically pleasing and regular curved edges didn't make sense because that bizarre looking exoskeleton made a whole lot more sense than people realize. And thanks to a tweet from Tesla Truck Club, we got a zoomed in image that was briefly shown at the event that a lot of people didn't really get a good look at, but it essentially showed an aftermarket accessory that would probably be sold by Tesla that would allow the Cybertruck to have a rack on the top of it, because given its bizarre shape, a lot of people were probably wondering if you wanted to put things above the vehicle for transport or something like a canoe. That's what my dad does all the time. How are you gonna do that when, you know, it's kind of a weird triangle shape on top? But this photo, which they tried to enhance best they could, gives us a good idea that because so much of this truck is very structural and very rigid, that a stainless steel rack would probably be made in a much more cost-effective manner because it doesn't have to adapt to a curvy, aesthetically pleasing truck design. When I'm saying aesthetically pleasing, I really mean more like traditional truck design, because I know there's a ton of people out there that probably think that looks gorgeous, but I'm just acknowledging the people that thinks it looks hideous. Regardless of whether or not you like the design, you have to acknowledge that by having a rack attachment that works this simply, that people are able to either store things in the bed of the truck and now put things above the vehicle, and as we saw some close-up looks at the bed, there will be anchor points that people will be able to screw in. So essentially what I'm trying to say is, because the Cybertruck is so bland and so basic, it kind of is a blank canvas for its users. So the fact that that tailgate folds down into a ramp, really handy for motorcyclists or people who drive the Cyberquad, but at the same time also makes a lot of sense to have things like the air compressor and the power supply in there. As they showcased in this photo, it would probably make a lot of sense with that top rack that you could store lumber, ladders, any number of things you want, but also have a place to put all of your power equipment, whether it be motorized saws, and you can cut your lumber on the scene of construction sites, which is why, in my opinion, the Cybertruck is tackling way more than the Ford F-150. It's basically tackling every heavy-duty pickup truck out there, while at the same time also trying to be practical and fun for people who just want a truck for the occasional moving days, but don't need to do so much heavy lifting. So when it comes to moving a lot of heavy equipment, either on the top or in the bed, having that huge elongated storage space in the back is going to be super practical. And it also doesn't hurt that when you're storing so much stuff in the back of this truck, the rear view mirror is actually a camera, probably near the bumper on the back of the vehicle. That means that even if you have a bunch of stuff loaded up into the back of this truck, you'll still be able to see behind you very well, as long as the truck is not blocking that bumper, probably somewhere around the license plate. By allowing people to plug into this enormous battery pack and use it with their tools, that gives the Cybertruck an insane advantage over other pickup trucks, which ordinarily are going to require huge extension cords or generators. This starts to wrap up a ton of different equipment into one vehicle, which is why when you have so much practicality, especially with the range to price ratio here, the best of any electric vehicle to date, the fact that you can get a 500-mile EV for $70,000, that's why so many people are taking this thing seriously. And as I've talked about in previous videos with the Model 3 production model beating the prototypes that were unveiled on stage, in Tesla, yeah, sometimes being a little late, but also delivering on what they promise, that's why so many people take the Cybertruck seriously, because anyone who doesn't really know much Tesla history would look at it and think, oh, that's a prototype, that's a concept, I'm sure the real thing will be totally different, not look like that at all. But if you go back and look at the Model 3 unveil, the Model Y unveil, the real thing usually ends up over-delivering in several categories and being better than the original prototype, which is a great business model Tesla has of not showing things that they can't deliver on. And because they're already showing so many practical use cases, I'm sure that once the Cybertruck's actually out, customers customers and truck lovers out there are going to be able to make it their own and probably think of even more practical and beneficial use cases of this design that may be non-traditional, but like I said, it's a blank canvas that people can turn into whatever they want, and Tesla's doing a good job at just making the most practical tool possible and not having the design so much get in the way, because you have things like the bed being completely open. There's no wheel wells back there that you have to deal with so many other pickup trucks. The ability to still look behind the vehicle, even if you have a bunch of stuff loaded up in the bed. Probably the really cheap attachments you'll be able to buy if this stainless steel rack can just hook in the back and allow you to store things on top of the truck as well as the bottom. You've got a ton of cargo space in here potentially, and with that Tesla armored glass, I'm sure being stronger than most traditional glass we see on pickup trucks today, that's why so many people are on board with this thing, because they don't like carrying around ramps with them whenever they have to load in their bikes or quads into the back of their truck. They don't like having to carry around power generators or air compressors wherever they go, especially if they're working on a work site so much. And they're not interested in buying a truck that gets dings or the paint job gets scratched when some little kid opens their door too fast in a parking lot. By having that stainless steel exoskeleton and making it age incredibly well, and knowing what Tesla's building up with their battery investor day to prolong range and charge cycles with this battery pack, that's why so many people are in love with it. That's why so many people are willing to defend it, because they see it for what I believe it truly will be, a market disruptor that's going to very, very quickly take Tesla to the top and make one of the most popular selling vehicles on the road. But of course, that's just a Tesla fanboy's opinion, so hopefully that made some sense. If you disagree, I completely understand. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.